Hi, everyone. Welcome in. Just going to give everyone a few moments to join in. So just another minute or so, and then we'll begin. Right, I am going to go ahead and start getting things ready, though. I'll begin sharing my screen. So we have that. All right. Looks like we're about a minute past, so we'll go ahead and start talking here. Welcome, everyone. I am so excited to welcome you guys to our first Byte session over the menu module. So I do want to take a quick moment just to tell you what we're doing today. We're going to be diving into some of the key features and functionalities of menus. Our session today will be recorded and that will be shared with you. It will also be kept in our knowledge base where our webinars are, where you found likely this webinar link. We'll keep it there as well. Now, before we get too far into our training for today, I do want to take a very quick poll just so I can kind of gauge where everyone is with their menu knowledge. We'll do another one towards the end so we can reevaluate how things are going. So if you wouldn't mind, you should see that pop up on your screen now. You'll just answer that to the best of your ability, how comfortable you are within the menu module, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Thank you guys. So as we mentioned, today we are covering menus, and again, it will be recorded. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put that into the chat. I do have Tessa Stone with me as my partner who will be moderating that chat and answering questions as we go through. All right, now we're going to go ahead and begin. Over on that left-hand side, we'll click on the main tab here, that 3 lines or burger icon, however you like to refer to it, to get that to open up. And we're going to dive right into menus. Now, before we go too much further, I want to take a quick moment just to give you guys a brief description over each of these subtabs so we kind of know what we're getting into here. The very first one is your menu listing. So this is where you will find all of the menus that belong to you. They're your facilities menus. You can edit these, delete these, schedule these, whatever you want. They're yours. Right underneath that, you have your menu templates. So these are going to be menus that have been released either by Meal Suite or if you're underneath a parent account by your corporation for you to be able to see and use. So you can copy these guys and use them as your own. The next tab that you have is the copy menu tab. Now we won't be able to get into this one today, but just again, a brief description over this. The purpose of this tool is for you to be able to copy from one menu into another. So a menu A into a menu B. It's really good if you're trying to combine 2 menus together, or if you want to flip meals around, flip days around, weeks around, that is a good option. And if you do want more information into that, I'd highly recommend checking out our support and training tab and our knowledge articles there. Lastly, we will have our menu reports, which, as you might guess, is where we're going to find all of our reports for our menu database or for our menu knowledge. All right, so let's go ahead and get in here. We're going to start with the second tab, which is the menu templates. Now, as I mentioned, this is the one that we have for everybody to be able to see and use as your own. Now, you'll notice at the top of the screen here, we do have a brief little description into what this is. So these menu templates are for you to use as is if you'd like to, or as a starting point for you to modify. Now, before we go into one of these menus, we'll just take a quick look into the navigation of the screen. At the top left-hand corner, you do have your filters. If you'd like to use those to narrow down your results in any way. And next door to that, you do have a search field where, of course, if you know the name of something you're looking for, you can search for it within here. Now, next I want to direct our attention over to the left-hand side where you're going to notice little tabs here for each of our different menu types. The first tab that you see is for a standard menu. The standard menu is your core menu. It's breakfast, lunch, dinner. That's on that rotation, whether it's 4 weeks or 5 weeks or just 3 weeks long, however long it is, that's your set menu of what you're serving at your facility. If we go over to the right-hand side, you'll see another tab for a snack menu. And you might be able to guess the purpose of this one. The snack menu here is for our AM, PM, and HS. You're able to put in whatever snack offerings you have for those passes, so you can document that, of course, appropriately and have it appear on any snack reports that you are using or want to use. If we continue to the right-hand side again, you're going to see the special event tab. Now, our special event menu type is for a one-day event menu. So these are great, and you kind of can get an idea. You can see the names of these of what they might be used for, but they are great for those parties that you might be doing. Or we can come down here and see a couple more examples, such as an emergency day menu with low labor or no power, things like that. So with the intention of a special event is to be a temporary menu just for one day. It could be for the entire day or just one certain meal. But again, this menu would only show up for the day that it's scheduled for, and that's really it. So these are great options for you if you are offering something special like a barbecue lunch, as you see here, or a birthday party type menu. Now, again, we're going to go to the next tab over, and we are going to see the also available menu. So this also available menu, or all also available menus really, are here with the intention for you to be able to enter in any items that you offer in addition to that standard menu. And I'm sure you guys have some items like that right now, where if somebody doesn't want or can't have what is on your standard menu, there's usually something you might offer to them instead. Maybe it's really simple. It's a sandwich or a salad, or it's a grill item like a burger or a hot dog. Those go-to things that you know are available in the kitchen and can be made relatively easily. We would use our also available menu to input any of those items. So again, you're able to keep track of that, and you have a way for people to be able to see those options from within that menu. The last type here is the liquid menu. So a liquid menu is intended for your clear liquid or full liquid people. You would be able to, of course, copy this or create your own. But once you schedule this, the menu will populate for anybody on a clear liquid or a full liquid diet type. If you don't have anybody on a clear liquid or full liquid, then the menu is not going to populate anywhere. So we're not going to see it until it's called upon, basically. So unless someone is actively on a clear liquid or a full liquid, I won't see this menu populate anywhere until someone is. All right, let's head back over to standard. So what we just did, we went through each of the menu types and kind of gave a brief description over each of these and where you might use them or how you might use them. Each menu type is built with that specific purpose in mind. So when we come in here, we want to be sure we find the right type of menu for our goal. Now, on the menu templates, as we talked about, this is going to show us a good list of all the menus that have been released by MealSuite or by our parent account for us to copy and use. We'll take a look at the body of this page now, and you'll see one of the very first things listed is the name of that menu. You will also notice it's a blue hyperlink. So if we wanted, we could click on the name and it's going to take us into that menu. I'm going to go ahead and click on the one that we are just looking at here. And we'll see it takes me into our menu view. We also refer to this as a week at a glance. Now, before I get into the body, we're again just going to look at the top of the screen and we'll see the name of the menu listed. If we go over to the right, we have the option to print, which is going to redirect us into our menu report section. And if we continue to the right-hand side, you have some display options available to you. So if you'd like this page to look a certain way, you can make your own selections from within here. Continuing down, we will also be able to switch the weeks that we're viewing or the diet and the texture that we're reviewing. So you can ensure as you go through that this is the menu for you. Now, as we look down, you'll start to see, of course, what's actually in that menu. So here is breakfast, and here are the items that we would potentially be serving for breakfast. Now, as we continue down, I start seeing the next meal, lunch, and then, of course, if I continue down, I'd see dinner and all the options available there. Let's go ahead and scroll back up to the top. And I do want to point out there is an alert at the top of the screen that this menu cannot be edited as I am not the owner of it, and that is to be expected. Like we talked about earlier, this is still a template. It is owned at that system data level, so it's owned by MealSuite or by someone else. So I cannot come in here and just edit this as it stands. I need to make a copy of it first, and then I can adjust my copy. You will notice there is a copy to my menus option right here from within the view. Now I am going to backtrack just a little bit and take us back into the menu template view. So we saw by clicking on the name there, it takes us into the menu itself so we can review it. If we continue down, we do see a tag here about, a tag here to tell us if this menu is extended or not extended. An extended menu means that you are going to have offerings for other diet types and textures than the regular diet, regular texture. If you are not doing that, you only offer a regular diet, regular texture menu, you'll look for something that is not extended or non-extended. Continuing down, we see a brief description over this menu, and if we continue down, we see the duration of the menu and who it was published by. All right, now we will also find the copy to option here as well. So you can choose to copy the menu from within the menu edit the we get a glance kind of view screen, or we can do it from within here. The copy feature is the same with every menu type. So no matter what menu you'd want to copy, you'll be able to do it the same way. We're going to copy a standard menu together. We'll click on this option right here, copy to my menu, and that brings up this side panel. Now, what it's doing is it's giving me a really detailed look into the actual properties of this menu. So how this was built, some of those settings into it. If I want, I could just go up to the top right-hand corner and hit Start Copy and be done with it. But I do want to take a quick second here just to show you what all these fields are, just in case you do need to adjust anything here. Starting off with the name of the menu. You'll notice it automatically renames it to copy of, and then there's that original name it had as that template. You don't have to keep it like that. You can come in here and rename this menu to be whatever you prefer. So if I want to come in here and call this Brianna's menu, I can do that. Let's also put the year on there. Now, as we go over to the right-hand side, we'll see the type of menu it is. This cannot be adjusted. As we mentioned earlier, with each menu type, it is built with that specific purpose in mind. So this menu was built as a standard menu. I can't come in here and just flip that to a liquid menu. It's going to stay as standard. If we go over to the right-hand side again, we'll see the number of weeks available in this menu, which is 4. It was built for 4 weeks. It has options in there for 4 weeks. However, if I use the drop down, I can choose to change that. If my facility only serves a 3-week rotational menu, we can choose to flip that and have 3 weeks instead. Or if we offer more than 4, we can make that selection here as well. Keep in mind, if you decide to add to the number of weeks, you will have to build that from scratch since this menu was only built for 4. Continuing to the right again, we'll see the number of category choices that are available. This menu was built for for two, and that is pretty standard, choice one and choice two. You again can use the drop down and choose to expand that if you would like to. What this is in reference to is when we are looking at the menu and adding items to the menu. If I put in, let's say, meatloaf on my menu, I'm going to be able to label that meatloaf as either choice one or choice two, because that is what I have here. If I want to offer more, I can choose to expand that, and then I'd be able to label it as choice one, two, and three, or however many I've selected here. Let's continue down, and we're going to see the extension type. So this menu is extended, meaning I'm going to be able to offer menu options to diets and textures other than the regular. If that doesn't fit my needs, I only need a regular diet, regular texture. You can use this drop down and you can choose to flip it to no extension. So it's going to remove all the other diet options and all the other texture options. Continuing to the right again, we are going to see our extension editor. And the option here is to have that extension grid auto open or be a manual open. What this is in reference to is when you are editing your menu, if you add something to the menu, you can choose to have the extension grid, which is where you can see what every diet and every texture is getting. You can choose to have that grid automatically open as soon as you add the item, or you can choose to just have the item added, you move on, and when you're ready, you can manually open that extension grid when you want to. So there is no difference in data between the two options. It's just a matter of preference. Would you want that grid to automatically open, or do you prefer to manually open it yourself? Continuing down, we are going to see our description of the menu. We saw that a moment ago on the outside. And continuing further down, we get to see how this menu was configured. So this menu is available Monday through Sunday, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you don't offer certain meals or days, you can come in here to unselect that option. All right. So I wanted to take, like I mentioned, just a quick second to go over the properties and the configuration here before you even hit that start copy option. You will notice there is a separate tab here for menu budgeting. So if you guys are already working within procurement and have your vendor information entered, you can come in here and provide your daily food budget or a meal specific budget if you'd like to. To make sure that you are within budget as you build your menu. There will be a report inside of menu reports where you can run and see if you are over budget anywhere. All right, so we've reviewed this page. Let's go ahead and hit start copy, and we'll see a progress bar at the top of the screen letting me know that this is in progress and shouldn't take more than a few minutes. Now, as we mentioned earlier, what we are doing here, we're copying this template that's been provided to us, and it's going to provide that replica, that copy into the My Menu section. Once it's a My Menu, I can edit that menu, schedule it, delete it. It's mine to do with it as I want to. The changes that you make to your menu will not reflect back onto the original copy. It's your own version. All right, so I'll take a quick pause here just to see if, Tessa, if there's any questions that I should answer before we continue.
We are doing pretty good in the chat. Just a reminder for anyone, though, if you do have any questions, feel free to shout them out at us so we can make sure that those burning questions get their answers.
Thank you. All right, so my menu is done copying. Once it is done, it does immediately take you into the menu itself. Again, let's review the page that we're on. So at the top left-hand corner, we see the name of the menu. That is what I called it when we were copying it over. As I continue to the right again, we see kind of the same format that we saw earlier. There is my option to print, which again will redirect us into the menu report section. And I have my display options here as well, where we can customize this view. While I'm here, one thing I would recommend, it's not mandatory, but one thing I would recommend is having your display option set to the lookup name. The reason being that lookup name is always going to be very specific. No two recipes can have the same lookup name. The display name could be the same. So having a lookup name view just allows you to make sure you don't have any duplicate or different versions of the same recipe in the menu, meaning I don't have, a scrambled eggs from pasteurized, I don't have a scrambled eggs from powder, and then a scrambled eggs from liquid recipe when I only need the one. So having that view by lookup name will just help me limit that error, I suppose. All right, we're also going to see again that option for our extension editor. So we saw that a moment ago when we were copying it. I will have it available here too if I do need to change that at any point. All right, I'm going to click out of those display options. Right underneath that, we once again have the ability to go to another week or dye or texture or change the view of choices. I'm going to keep it on all for the moment and we'll just stay on the week one. Now, as we look at this screen, we see again a similar view to what we saw earlier when we were looking at the template. However, now that this is my menu, I can come in here and I can make an adjustment to this. So you'll notice as I'm moving my mouse over this area, it flips it and I have that little pencil on paper icon. So I can come in and make an adjustment here. For example, let's scroll down a little bit and there's some milk options. There's a 2% milk here. Maybe I don't offer that. I want to provide some type of substitution. So what I can do is click on that edit option, get that to open up for me. And then from here, we'll choose to make our changes to this milk, or I can choose to replace this milk option. All right, now what we are looking for is right here at the top right-hand corner. Just before I do that, you'll see right in front of it, there is the option to preview this recipe. I probably don't need to do that for milk, but just in case you're not familiar with the recipe and want more detail in it, clicking that eyeball icon will just take you into a preview so you can see exactly what's going on with this recipe, what ingredients are being used, and what steps are taken in those preparation steps. Okay, but going over to the right, the specific example we were looking at here was the option to replace. So my intention here is I saw on the menu that I copied, it's using 2% milk. My facility really doesn't like 2% milk, or we're not using 2% milk. So the easiest way for me to do this and to get rid of that 2% is using this replacement option. I'll come in and we'll see those two arrows kind of crossing each other. We'll click on that and I'll be able to search and find a replacement. It brings up this side panel where we can search the database for a different recipe. And I'm not going to be very specific. I'm just going to say milk here. And we're going to go with a soy milk instead. I know it's probably not typical, but I think we'll use that as our first example. We have the options down below of my search results of just the word milk. And as you can see, all of those results are provided here. I again have the little eyeball icon if I want to see a preview of that item. And then there's the plus icon. So we'll choose that one. And the reason that this replace option is so very helpful in situations like this is we do have the ability to make that replacement for all 28 instances that it's being used on the menu. And it's talking about this specific recipe. So the milk 2% from bulk, 8 fluid ounces. So I've decided, you know what, I don't like that option. I want to replace it. So we can decide to do that for all 28 times it's being used. So rather than me searching the system or this menu for every single time, I'll let the system do it for me and make it a little bit easier on myself. We'll use this replacement option and we'll click on apply and allow it to do that search and find and replace option. All right, here we go up to the top. We'll go ahead and click on save, sorry, and allow that to go through. All right, I get an alert. It has been saved successfully. And if we look down here, now where it previously said 2%, I'm seeing that soy milk. So that was just a very quick look into making a bulk replacement into your menu. Now, if we want to add a new item, we have a couple of options available to us. Again, you'll notice as I hover my mouse into some of these empty slots or these empty categories, it has add new item available there. You will also find if we go up to the top left-hand corner, you have the add new item button available there as well. You can use either one. There's no right or wrong. It's just whatever you prefer. The difference is pretty small. If I were to come here and click on the add new in this area where my mouse is at the moment, it knows, or the system knows, that I am trying to add this into the breakfast sides category for Thursday at breakfast. So those fields can be pre-filled out for me. But if I go to this add new button on the upper left-hand side, it doesn't have that jump start of a day or category like this would. So I would need to input that information. Let's start with this one. We're going to click on Add New for a breakfast side on Thursday. I'll click on that Add New button. We again get that same little side panel where I can search and find the recipe that I want. So in this case, I know I want to find some type of muffin. Again, I'm not being very descriptive. I'm just going to go with the word muffin. And as you can see, I have a lot of results. Let's say it's too many. I am not finding what I would want, so we need to narrow this down. This is where I would highly recommend using these search filters. They can be extremely helpful to narrow things down so you get you get closer to the results that you would like. Within these filters, we have it already open. If it's not automatically opened for you, if you have it hidden, that's just right here at the right-hand corner. It says search filter. We'll click that and it'll open up for me. Now, one of my first recommendations is this filter by food type. Using the dropdown, you'll see there are three options here. We can filter by prepared food items, recipes, or non-food items. Non-foods, you probably know, are exactly that. They're adaptive aids, plates, chemicals, things of that nature. I'm not looking for that, so we're going to uncheck it. And then we're left with either a recipe or a prepared food. We're going to say we make our muffins from scratch. So I'm going to uncheck prepared foods. So now I'm looking at just the recipe versions of those food types, and I could just hit apply and go from there and see what our results are. And I do have a little bit less now. Let's scroll down just a little bit here, and we'll see within my search results all of the recipes that contain the word muffin. Once more, if I'm not super familiar with a muffin recipe, we do have that little eyeball. Let's click on that just so you can get an idea of what this does. Shows me a preview of that recipe. Here on the left, we can see the options for it. I can see it is extended. There's my description. There's a nice little photo for it. And if I continue down, there's some allergen information, preferences, the actual ingredients being used, and the preparation steps. This is my way of verifying that this is an appropriate recipe for my facility. It's using the things I would like to use and taking the steps that I would take. So this is the one I want. We'll click on the X out of here. We'll find it again in that search result and click on the plus icon. Once I do that, it shows up on the right-hand side of the screen for me with those selections already filled out. As we mentioned earlier, clicking the Add New within that blank category ensured that it knew what day it was going to, what week and what meal and category. So all of that is there. If this is what I want, I can come up to the top and click Save to add that food item. Let's do one more. We're going to say, all right, we've added our muffin. I want to add some butter for that muffin as well. I don't have to do this one by one. I can add both of those things at the same time. So we'll come up to the top and we'll type in what we are looking for. And I don't want to forget that I am currently filtered by recipes. I probably don't need that anymore. So let's clear out those filters. And there we go. I have some search results here for butter. One of the very first things I see is that chip or pat butter. We're going to go with that. We'll hit the plus icon and it does the same thing. Now I have a muffin and a pat butter being added to the same area. So I'm happy with this. This is what I want. We'll come up to the top and click on save to get that to add in. Excellent. There we go. And now you'll notice on Thursday here for my breakfast sides category, I now have 2 new items. There is my orange muffin and there is my butter. Now, really quickly, I just want to go to the left-hand side and show if we click on Add New from here, let's do the same thing. I'm going to do another muffin. And we'll just do a plain muffin here. Click the plus. This is really the only difference because we didn't go directly into a day and category. That field is not pre-filled out for me. So I'll just use this drop down and select where I want it to go and when I want it to go. Now, while I'm here, I do also want to point out that you can choose to add an item into multiple days or multiple weeks, or even multiple meals if you'd like to. So you don't have to do this quite one by one. You will also notice that there is the option to add a second occurrence. So either you can put in the multiple days and weeks that you would like it, or you can do it by occurrence and just add another week and day from here. Either option. All right, I'm just going to exit out of this. We're not going to add it. And I do get a warning, hey, I did not save what I did. That's okay. We're going to close without saving. All right, so now that we have seen how to add an item from either option at that top left green button or using the add new from within a category and a day, we're going to show another way to edit the menu. At the moment, we're looking at this week at a glance screen, right? It's Monday all the way through Sunday. I want to focus in on just one day. So what we'll do is come up to the top. And again, you'll notice as I hover my mouse over the title there, it tells me what that action is. So here, I'm going to go into the day view, and that's what I want to do. So we'll click on that option. It's going to refresh my screen, and now we are looking at just this one day. Again, if we look to the right-hand corner, we see the information of what we're looking at. So this is Thursday of week 1. I can go directly into the menu reports if needed. Continuing to the right, we'll see our display options again, and I can also choose to go into another week, another day, or diet and texture from here. All right, let's go back over to this left-hand side, and you'll probably recognize that these are the same options we saw on the outside. Of course, I'm just now focused in on that singular day. And you'll again see some similar options that we saw on the outside. I have that that green add new option here at the very top corner. I also have it available next to each category name. So we can do or add items however we prefer. Again, if we click it from within here, it's going to have that category and mill pre-filled out for me. And if I do it here, I'll just need to put that in myself. Either option is okay. We will notice as we look at our menu here, in front of each item, we do have these 2 lines. And if you guys have used the system before, you may recognize those. That is your toggle icon. So if you want to pick something up and move it around, you could use that field to do it. So here, maybe I don't want my butter to go underneath the breakfast sides. I want to pick it up and I want to drag it and put it into the condiments. So as you can see, now it's right where I left it. I can also just reorganize the sort from here if I want to as well and put that at the top of the list. So you're really able to come in here and customize exactly how things should populate on your menu. All right. Now, as we continue over from the name of, from that toggle icon, we'll see the name of the recipe. And if we click onto that, you do get the preview over here to the right. So it's the same little preview that we saw using the eyeball icon. Just clicking on the name from this day view provides that same view on the right-hand side of the screen for you. Continuing to the right, you'll see the choice that it's assigned to. There are only 2. That's what we saw earlier with the menu properties. I only established that I want 2 choices per category. And if that needs to be adjusted, you can do so using this drop down. So if I want this toast, for example, to be both choice 1 and 2, I can make that selection here so it shows up as both. We'll also see the portion size right next to that. This is a 1 slice portion, but if that is not what I intend, I want to have 2 slices, we can come in and you can adjust that. It's giving me a warning that I do need to adjust or look at my extension grid now that I've made that change, but we're going to take a look at that in a moment. Continuing to the right, you again have that option to do a recipe preview via the pop-up, and you're going to see an option here for your nutrient value information. And if we click on those 3 lines, that is going to open up 3 options to us. The first one is to edit the extensions. The second one is to replace that item. So that's what we saw a moment ago on the outside of the screen. And then the last one is to remove the item. So as we know, remove it is deleting it. If I click this option, however, it's going to do the same thing that we saw with the replace. Because this toast is being used in multiple places, it does want me to specify and gives me the opportunity to remove it for every instance or just the one. So if I don't actually want to serve wheat toast at all, and I'm not really providing a replacement, I just want to get rid of it, we can use this remove all occurrences. Or if our intention is just to get rid of it for the day that we're on, for the meal that we're on, we can leave it with that first selection and just choose to delete it. All right. Now, the next thing I want to do is take us into the extensions for one of our items. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up the extensions for one of our dinner items. I feel like that is probably going to be a very good example. So we're going to pick on our pork paprika here. Now, as we saw earlier, when I want to view the extensions, I'm going to find the item and I'm going to come over here to those 3 lines and click on that option to edit extensions. Edit extension. That takes me into the extension grid for the pork paprika. From here, the way we are going to read this is across the top, you have the textures that are provided. Over to the left-hand side, going down, you have the diets. So regular, no added salt, cardiac, and so on. Where they meet up is where you can see what somebody on that diet and texture type, what they would be receiving. So if I have someone who's on a no added salt, easy to chew texture, I can find that diet, find that texture, and this is what they would be getting. This grid is also where you can make adjustments. So if we don't offer a particular item that is on this grid, or if you just want to offer something else, you know your facility isn't a fan of what's on the menu, you want to offer a different version, then we can come in here and make that adjustment. Now, quickly before I do show how to make the adjustments, I do just want to go over what we're looking at. You'll notice as I'm hovering over these little boxes, it does expand into what that intention is. So here we see green check marks inside of that regular column. And when I hover my mouse over it, it tells me that it's serving the regular recipe. What that means is that somebody on this diet and texture is just getting that regular pork paprika. They're not getting a dietaried or textured version. They're just getting the regular option. If that is not correct, we want to give them something different. We will use those 3 lines. Clicking on that, we will see 3 options available to us. I can choose to issue a do not serve. I can choose to edit this extension to something else, or I can choose to just copy this so I can paste it somewhere else. Let's start with the do not serve. The do not serve, if I were to make this selection, there we go, it's going to turn red here for me, provide that little cross symbol. This means that somebody on this diet and texture type is not getting this item and they are not getting a replacement. My intention is to not give them anything in this case. A good example might be of a do not serve, and why you might use that might be saltine crackers and a puree diet. If we have saltine crackers on the menu and someone's on a puree diet, I'm likely not going to offer them a substitution for those crackers, and the crackers also really can't be pureed. So I might place just a do not serve there. Now the other option, let's click on that again. We'll see it's expanded a little bit for me here. I can go back to serving the regular recipe if I want to. I can search for a substitution, meaning if I want to give them one of the MM5 versions or soft and bite-sized, we can search for that substitution, or I can create my own substitution. Let's go ahead and start with this search for substitute. Clicking that, it opens up this pop-up that you have could probably recognize it's the same little search field that we saw when adding items to our menu. And we're going to operate the same way here. We'll search for what we want to replace this with. So again, what we are intending to do here is we're taking a look at this grid and seeing what it's offering. If the offering here does not match our standards, doesn't match what I would like to serve my residents at my facility, I'm going to use the edit option, the search for substitution, or if we're looking at one of these guys, the edit extension. And you'll see that option is right here, search for substitution. Does the same thing. I can search and find what I want to offer them instead. So if I don't feel the option again was appropriate, we'll find what else is or could be offered. Now the offering was already appropriate, but I'm just going to make a random selection here. I'm going to search for the word pork. The first results that you see are always going to be the things that are already on the extension grid. This is done so that way it makes it a little bit easier on yourself. If there is something that's already being used that's appropriate, you can just easily find it here, pick it, and update the extensions with that. But I'm going to scroll just a little bit lower and do just one from search. And I am going to choose something kind of outrageous so it's more obvious on my screen and you can see what I'm doing. We're going to go with this fruited pork. I feel that's an appropriate substitution. So we'll find the item, click the plus icon, and I have a chance to adjust that portion size if needed. If not, we'll leave it alone and just click on update. And we'll see now that anybody on a no added salt diet and easy to chew texture is going to get that fruited pork option. Now that's obviously not correct. I just chose something outrageous, so it just stood out a little bit more for us in the example. Let's do that again. I'm going to click the three lines. We have that do not serve, which again indicates that they are not getting this item and they are not getting a replacement. There's our edit extension, which if we click that, opens it up. I can change the portion size if that's what I'm looking for, view the recipe, nutritional data, but most importantly down below, that's where I'm going to find my options for issuing a substitution. So again, there's the serve regular recipe. That's that green check mark, meaning that they're getting just this regular item, no dietary or textured version needed. The do not serve, indicating that they're not getting this item and they're not getting a replacement. The search for substitute, which allows me to search the system to provide a substitution instead of what's being offered. And then I have a final option to create the substitution, my own substitution from a save as. So the save as is just a copy feature. What it will do is it will copy the recipe that I'm currently at. So this paprika, pork paprika, and I can create my own version. So if I was looking for, let's say, a low sodium version, I can come in here and rename this however is needed. And it will save this own copy. Let's go ahead and do that. Into my recipe box, we'll click on Save As, and I have officially created a new recipe. I want to put a little asterisk there. It takes me into the recipe here. And that is intended because I want to come in here and ensure that my ingredients and my preparation steps match what I want out of this recipe. So if my intention here with this low sodium test pork recipe is to have less salt, that's what I'm looking for. Then I want to make sure that when I make this copy and I create my own recipe, I go into the recipe and I do that. I go into my ingredients, delete whatever is there, replace whatever is needed with that low sodium version, or remove the salt. Again, whatever edits I needed to make, I want to be sure I go into my recipe to do that. So that's why the recipe immediately pops up for us so we can go in and we can make our changes to it. We want to operate with intention here. All right, so there's the recipe that we created together. We'll click on the three lines again, and you'll see the final option is to copy this cell. So if what I've done, this low sodium recipe, I wanted to put it somewhere else on my grid. We'll click the copy option. We're going to see it's copied, and then I'll just choose to paste it wherever I'd like it to go. Once I'm done, we'll go up to the top left and just confirm those changes. And you'll see that low sodium test recipe is now where I selected to paste it. So we have, a couple of options available to us with editing the extension grid. I know that was very quick, just because there's so much time available in the day. But if you do want more information into this, or if you just feel, step-by-step written instructions are a little bit easier on you, highly recommend checking out that support and training instead of our documents there, instead of our knowledge library, as it will go into a little bit more detail and provide that step-by-step instruction as well. All right. Now, once you've made the edits to this extension grid to get it where you need it, you have all the options on here that are appropriate for you guys. You, of course, want to save your changes. If we go to the right-hand corner, you have this option to save, and you'll notice it is a drop-down. So if we click on that, there are two options for me here. I can choose to save these extensions only for this meal. So nowhere else am going to see these random changes that I've made to my extension grid. It's only in this instance. Or if this is something that I want to happen from here on out, I can save it to the menu and the recipe. So that way, everywhere it's being used, I get to see those extensions that I've done. You'll see also next door to that save option, there's the option to reset back to those recipe extensions. So if we click on that, there we go. It takes me right back. All right, I think I lost connection just for a second there, but it seems I am back in. Um, so when I hit that back to a menu at the top left-hand corner, it does provide a pop-up here because I made some changes and I never actually saved them. It gives me a warning to that effect, that I made changes and I'm potentially discarding those changes. And that is what I want to do. I can choose to leave and discard the changes or cancel and stay here on the extension grid. I'm going to go ahead and leave and discard what I've done. All right. So again, what we just reviewed was the extension grid for a particular item. We got there from clicking those three lines and using that edit extension option. As you guys have maybe noticed here or on your own, when you edit and build your menu, you do primarily do it from the regular diet, regular texture, because those extensions will then have the options for other diet types and texture types. That's usually how, or best practice of how you build out your menu. So that way it's less steps and less work for you. All right, so we've learned how to add a few items, how to replace an item, as well as how to make some changes to our extension grid. The next thing I want to do is we're going to back out of here really quickly, and we're going to talk about the edit menu properties and scheduling the menu that comes with that. So to the left-hand side, we're still within the week at a glance type view here of this menu. And you'll see next to the edit menu or add new item, we have the edit menu properties. Clicking on that, it's going to open up the same type of pop-up that we saw earlier when copying the menu. But now there is another tab available for us, which is that start date and forecasting. So this is where I want to go once I am ready to issue a start date for this menu, when I would like this menu to begin. So if I want to start using this menu, let's say next month, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to find the month that I want the menu to start and choose that starting date. So maybe I want this menu to begin on, let's say, October 20th. We'll choose that start date. Going over to the right, we are also going to want to choose the menu service location. You'll notice that these three fields have an orange line in front of it, which does indicate a mandatory field. And it's the same in a lot of different areas throughout the system. I think you'll find the orange line will indicate a spot where I have to fill this information out. So the next thing I want to do is decide what menu service location that this menu would belong to. Using the dropdown, we'll see that I have technically two locations. I have a default location and I have a cafeteria location. Um, What these menu service locations are intended for is if you are running multiple different menus at the same time for different groups, you can ensure that each group and wherever you're serving your meals are serving the correct menu. Just a quick example. Let's say my facility has long-term care as well as assisted, and each of these groups have a different menu that goes out to them. What I would want to do in that situation is I'd want to create two menu service locations, one for my long-term care and one for my assisted. That way I can build those menus and I can make sure that each menu is associated with that specific location. So no matter where my person is eating, if they're in their room or if they're in their dining room, they're getting the appropriate menu. And I'll show you in a moment where we can find that. So we'll decide location I want this to go to. We're going to say it's the default location. And then after that, I need to decide how I'm going to forecast for this menu. We want to ensure that whatever forecasting method we choose, we have set up our forecast settings for it from within our production area. If you're not ready for that, but you still want to schedule the menu, or if you're just not planning on using forecasting, we can go with this do not forecast. And if I need to, I can come back and I can update that. But I'm just going to go ahead and hit save. I get an alert that this has been done successfully. Excellent. Let's exit out of here. And you'll see that my date information is now populating for me. So there is the 22nd, the 23rd, and so on, because I have issued a start date for this. Now, I do quickly want to show one thing that is going to be, one small thing that is going to be different now that I have a start date on this menu, and that's our options with replacing. And so let's go into this orange muffin really quickly, and I'm going to hit the replacement option. And we're going to go up to the top and we're going to search for another muffin. And I'm just going to go with this corn muffin. You'll see now that I have the option to make this replacement for that specific date. So once you have put a start date on the menu, you can make temporary replacements. When you choose that, you can issue your reason for that temporary substitution, and that will show up on your temporary substitution report from within our menus. So that way you can track that data if needed. So if we just didn't get our shipment of the orange muffin mix, then I can come in here and say exactly that, and it will only make this replacement for this specific date. That way, the next time we come to this meal, I'm right back to my regular orange muffin because I expected to get it on the next truck. All right, thank you for joining me with that little detour. Let's go ahead and close that without saving. And we're going to go back to the listing page here. And we will see I have three menus listed in my standard menu section. Now I am underneath the menu listing area. Then again, these are menus that belong to me. We will see that I have a menu here at the very beginning that is active, meaning that one has the most recent start date. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Right underneath that, we will see the next menu, the one that we have just scheduled together, and that is set to a status of future. So I gave this menu a start date, but it hasn't hit just yet. That date is in the future. Once this date hits, the system will automatically make that my active menu and deactivate this one. I don't need to do anything past that. The system will do it itself. If we need to adjust the start dates from what we've already done, you can click directly on the date itself and you'll get back to that same page, or you can go over to the right-hand corner and you can choose the edit the start date from there as well. Now, I mentioned earlier the service locations. If you feel you do need to add multiple or another service location, you can find that from within the tools and setup, and then from within your managed facility. You'll see your service location options there that you can build. All right, the last thing that I want to go over are those report options that we want to recommend and highlight. But before I do navigate away, Tessa, were there any questions that I should stop and answer before we move on?
I think we're pretty well caught up. We do have one about a specific report that you're about to go to, but I will let you go there because I think it's going to be perfect.
Excellent. All right, so let's head into menus, and we're going to go to that very last tab here, which is the report tab. Now, if you guys have already been inside the system, you may have seen this before. There are quite a few report options available to you. Highly recommend whenever you have a second to come in here, load them, see what it looks like, customize some of them, see what fits for you. But I am just going to highlight a few reports that I feel are going to be important for auditing purposes or just day-to-day use. Now, before we print anything, we do want to look at our settings here. And this is where we determine what exactly we are printing. So first up, what menu are we printing for? Is this going to be a My menu or is this another templated menu? I'm going to say we're going to print for a My menu, and we'll use the drop down and decide what menu we want to work with. I'm going to go with just this webinar menu. To the right of that, we can choose what week or weeks we want to print for. You can go for all of them or just one or the other. I'm going to go with just the one. We can decide if we want to print for all choices and then what diets and textures we want to print for as well. Now, I'm going to leave it on one just for now, and we're going to take a quick look underneath that where we have our menu categories. If you'd like to print your reports, but maybe you just don't need to see every type of category that you have, a cart that goes around with your beverage options or your juice options. So you don't need to print the week at a glance or whatever report you're printing with those options. So you can use these category selections here at the top to just uncheck those things. Now, one of the reports that we do recommend here is the week at a glance report. That's going to resemble kind of what we saw when we first went into a menu and we had that, Monday through Sunday view. We're going to have it here in a report format. Now, with each of these reports, you'll see once you select them, it populates here on the right-hand side of the screen for me with some detail where I can choose how I want this report to look. This is one of the areas where I kind of recommend to come in and I don't want to say play around, but kind of play around a little bit, choose something, see if it works for you. If not, just exit out, reload the report and select something else. There are a lot of options available to you and with a lot of these reports. So play around, see what you like, see what you don't like here. Some of the things to pay attention to, choose your format preference. If you want this as a legal document, letter, or an Excel. You choose a font preference, how you want things to print, either by their display name or by that lookup name. How you want your choices separated, as well by bolding choice one or just with a line. And if you want this menu sorted by category or by choice. After that, you'll see you'll have a bunch of options down below to include on the report, such as calorie information or service state detail. And we'll just go up to the top right-hand corner very quickly, and I'm going to generate our report as it is. I didn't choose too many things, but we're just going to do a quick little example here. And here's my report. We'll see my breakfast, my lunch, and my dinners on the next page. But this is just going to give me a quick look into that week at a glance of what I am serving. You'll notice I chose to include portion size information. I chose to bold choice one, but you can customize this to look how you would prefer. This report is really good if you just want to post meals outside of your dining room. This one might be a good one for you. The next report that I would highly recommend is the recipe cookbook. So with this one, it does exactly what you might expect. It's going to print out all of those recipes for me that I might be using on one of these or on the menu that I have selected. We will see some yield options available here. You don't have to fill out all 4 boxes like you can see with my example. As long as you have one in here, you're okay. So in my example, each recipe that I print is going to print for 2 different yields, a yield of 100 and a yield of 150. We can choose how we want this to sort, if we want this to be consolidated, and any other extra detail that we want to include, such as the table of content or service day information, and choose to generate that. Now, I know I am doing reports one by one. You don't have to do it that way. You can choose multiple reports to run at the same time. Um, and just load them, of course, in bulk, if you will. On the screen, on the pop-up, you will see the option to send this report to your dashboard if you don't have the time. If we're loading something a little bit heavier, like with this one, and I don't have the time to wait for it to load, we can click that option to send it to our dashboard. Here is our cookbook. I chose to include the table of contents. It does exactly that, but let's take a look at the actual recipe. Hey, there's my orange muffin. We'll see I chose to include service date information. So that is at the upper left-hand corner. And there's those 2 servings that I chose as well. So serving 100 and serving 150. All right, the last report that I am going to recommend is the diet extensions report. This one, highly recommend if you are serving other diets and texture types. I'm just going to choose 3 here, but the intention is to come in and select the diets and textures that you're actually offering and that you want to audit. So we'll make those selections, choose select. Once you select the report, again, choose your customize options on how you want this to look. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and go to the top and hit generate. But what this report is going to do, it's going to show me what each of those diets and textures that I chose, what they are getting on the menu. I only chose 3, so I'm sorry it's a little sparse, but we'll see here. Let's take a look at some of the options. I have my cereal, my cream of wheat cereal on my regular. If I go over to the right, we have that green check mark for the easy to chew, meaning that they are getting just the regular cream of wheat. When they're getting something different, it's going to be listed out. So for example, the berry parfait is being served on the regular diet, regular texture. However, easy to chew, soft and bite size can't receive that, so they're getting just vanilla yogurt. So when they're those substitutions, that is going to be listed out here. This is a good report for auditing. You can print this out, have your ID, or if you're the ID, review it really easy, make note of any changes that need to happen, and come back into the system to have it reflect the changes that are needed. All right. Now, as we noticed, there are more reports down below that you can utilize, such as that temporary replacements report that we saw a moment ago. But we are going to stop here for the day. I do want to take a quick second to, again, ask you guys to answer the poll that will show up on your screen here. And while you're doing that, I want to take a quick moment to just thank you for your time and for sitting here with me and for asking your questions in that chat. I really appreciate your feedback and your time with this. As we mentioned, a recording will be sent out. It'll also be kept in the webinar area for our knowledge database. While I still have you, remember if you go to the support and training tab here and that very first one, it takes you to our knowledge database. You can access how-to articles from here. There's also where you'll find our webinar series here, the First Byte series that we're currently in. So if you'd like to register for the next one, you can come within here to do that as well, which would be the people module. Tessa, were there any questions that I should answer before we let go for today?
I don't think we missed anything, but I do want to say again, just echoing what Brianna just shared, thank you all for being so wonderful in the chat, for being such great, team members and sharing your questions and sharing your thoughts. It was really a fantastic time to be a part of y'all's chat today.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Tessa, and thank you everybody for joining me again. This has been great. I hope to see all of you again for our next module, which again is over people. You can find that from within our knowledge database and the webinar section specifically. All right. Well, thanks again, everyone. Really appreciate your time. You'll have a great rest of your day. Bye, guys.